Earlier this year, there was a leak that LEGO will be releasing a new medieval village set in 2024. It's said to be similar to the fan favorite one that came out almost 15 years ago now. With that set now going for over $400 and the new one said to be about $250, I decided to save some money and make my very own version. Let's start by building a few figs to go with the first build I'm making today. I want to make a farmer and a peasant woman to live in a farmhouse. The farmer uses the torso from the incredible Mill Village Raid set that you probably know as the set that gave us the LEGO goat mold. The peasant woman uses the torso and head from the 90th anniversary castle, and I've also given her this lovely wavy hairpiece. The crow's feet on the character's expression is really charming in my opinion, and I'd like to see more minifigure heads with it, to be honest with you. Okay, so now that I've got a few figs to populate the house, I think I'm ready to start building. I'm going to start by laying down a stone foundation with a lot of light bluish gray and dark tan plates to simulate a kind of muddy stone foundation. While I build the house, I want to talk about something that I think is key to building LEGO MOCS and really making anything creative in life. There's somewhat of a secret to life that I try and remember when I'm feeling bad about a creative project I'm working on, but I'll get back to that a little later in the video, so bear with me here. I'm sure you've heard the phrase limitation breeds creativity before. I think this is especially true for LEGO. You see, as LEGO MOC builders, we're limited by the parts that we have in our collection, and more broadly limited by the pieces that LEGO produces. The set I'm building today was built 100% by pieces that I already own in either my parts collection or parts that I ripped off of existing sets. I did not place a single bricklink order for this video. That means that during the design stage of this project, I had to make a lot of compromises and weird choices to get the house to look the way I had it pictured in my head. A good example of this, as I'm sure you've noticed, is I'm only using dark tan masonry bricks in the foundation. The reason for this? I don't own any light bluish gray masonry bricks. In the past, I've put off starting a MOC because I said to myself, oh, but I don't have any masonry bricks, I can't make a castle. I should have looked at it like this. Okay, I don't have any light bluish gray masonry bricks, but I do have dark tan ones. Maybe instead my castle can be set in a muddy swamp and the stone foundation has become coated in the mud that surrounds it. See, I went from letting the part limitations constrain what I make to letting the limitation tell a story in and of itself. Before, my castle would have been your standard gray wall with masonry bricks that you've seen 100 times before. But if I let my limitation guide me instead, I could have created a castle in a unique location that would have served a greater story. This obviously isn't true only for LEGO, by the way. Think about some of your favorite movies. The directors and writers didn't all start off with unlimited money and resources. Their first films would have been limited by their lack of experience, camera gear, and a million other things out of their control. So what do you do about that? Start small. An example is happening in the MOC right now. When I was planning this MOC out in my head, I knew I wanted a farmhouse to have tan walls. Problem: I don't have a lot of tan bricks. So I knew that the house would have to be smaller than I had originally envisioned, which, to be honest with you, kind of makes sense from a realism point of view. A medieval farmer would not live in a very luxurious home, so I decided the house would have a footprint of 10 by 11 studs. This made it so that I could create these sweet little modular walls with windows in them. I did this because it was really important to me that the house was modular so that the interior could be accessed easily. Okay, now my favorite part of any MOC, building the interior out. I'm gonna make a small bed with a white blanket and dark blue pillows. Is this realistic for a farmer's bedding? Most definitely not. However, I don't really care because it's pretty. I'm also going to give them a small nightstand with a chalice and a barrel for any tools the farmer might need. To finish off the interior, I'm going to place the most unsafe torch you have ever seen. And you'll notice that these clips on both sides of the build are seemingly there for no reason at all. And this is because I completely ran out of 1x1 tan bricks and I had to sub in these modified bricks. You'll see the effect again near the door where I have these two walls jutting out into the interior space. I had to use 2x1 bricks here instead of 1x1 bricks. Again, use what you have. You don't always need the exact piece for a MOC to look good. Alright, so I'm going to place the walls onto these jumper plates so that the walls are slightly recessed into the build. This allows for the brown wooden support beams to stick out a little bit and give that stereotypical medieval look to the house. I've done the same on the back side of the build and the front near the door. So this is what we have so far. It looks pretty solid to me, but we have to start on the dreaded roof of the house. This house was the first building that I've made out of LEGO since I was a small child, so to say the least, I was intimidated. My first draft of the roof was absurdly oversized for the small footprint of this build. It made me want to quit working on this house altogether and just move on to the next build of the set. But after sleeping on it, I knew I had to give the roof another shot. So I ended up with this design, which I am so happy with. It's a simple design of a bunch of plates and tiles that kind of snugly fit onto the house and lock into place. It's nothing special, but I'm really happy with how it looks. And then all I have to do to finish it off is add a wooden log onto the top and I've got a roof. Okay, farmhouse done, time to make a tree to serve as the kind of town center of the village. But first, let's build a few more figs for the village. Here is a tavern keep that I've made using an old Monster Fighters fig. The corset torso is just perfect for any fantasy tavern keeper. She also has this super expressive face from the Pirate Girl CMF. And next I wanted a medieval miner with a pickaxe. He has the peasant torso from the 90th anniversary castle and a medieval hood. I really like how this torso looks with the arms swapped out to the character's skin tone. So this fig is coming into town to sell his gems and ores to this gentleman here. He's a wealthy merchant in the town that often does business with the miners. His torso works so well for medieval minifigures. It's from the old Prince of Persia theme and is fairly affordable, which is a big plus. Okay, tree time. For this tree I wanted it to be a snot-based build, so I made a pretty solid curved base of the tree, and then I moved on to adding in snot bricks to get the kind of trunk of the tree done. I'm also adding in some tiles tiles for texture on the trunk. I didn't want it to all be studs. And I'm using the standard tree limb arch pieces to widen the branches out so that the leaves could sit on them. The tree is going to be using dark green and olive green leaves. The village is set in the outskirts of the Falcon Cove port, which you will recognize if you've watched my LEGO lore video before. So I wanted these leaves to reflect the kind of northern environment that the village was set in. I'll also place a few animals across the tree to give it some more life, like a spider on the back here and a owl at the top. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the tree design, but I think one that I made for another video coming up soon is a little bit more natural. And finally, time to build the bakery. But first, let's make some figs to go with it. The man with the hood is the owner of the bakery, and the younger man, his apprentice, will be learning about proofing, hydration percentages, and all things yeast. I found this awesome scar face print that I knew I had to use, so I decided the apprentice should have it. I like to think that the scars are from the abuse he takes from the bakery's owner for messing up. The apprentice also uses the overall print that originally came in the medieval blacksmith that came out in 2021. And the bakery owner here is the exact same fig from another blacksmith set that came out over 10 years ago. I think these blacksmith figs work perfectly for bakers, or really any medieval cook, because the overalls look so similar to an apron. Alright, now this build is going to have the same design philosophies as the farmhouse, but it will be at a slightly smaller scale. As you watch this building come to life, I want to talk a little bit about that secret of life that I mentioned earlier. Now, this isn't the most profound thing ever, but I think it's helpful to remember when working on a new skill or project of any kind, creative or otherwise. The idea is that everyone sucks at something until they don't. When you start learning a new skill, or in terms of LEGO, start building MOCS for the first time, you're gonna suck at it, usually for a while. Hell, I still suck at building MOCS. The important thing is that you continue at it if it's something you enjoy doing, because the only surefire way to fail at learning something is by quitting. If you continue trying, it's only a matter of time until you get it right. Alright, enough of being a pretentious dork, let's get back to the MOC. So as you can see, the bakery is fairly smaller than the farmhouse. That's mainly because I don't have enough light bluish gray and dark tan parts to make the same size foundation for the bakery. Unfortunately, this means that some of the scaling for the build is going to look a little bit strange. The door, for example, is tight to say the least, but I'm overall happy with the way the exterior looks. What I really loved building about this MOC was the interior space. I included a shelf for baked goods and a clip to hang the bread peel on, which I'm depicting with a LEGO ore piece. Then I've also got this large oven built into the side of the bakery. Now, I was hesitant to add this because I knew it would cause issues later with the roof, and I thought, you know what, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. The roof design is pretty much the same as the farmhouse, but again, smaller with a slight indent on the back to accommodate for the chimney. Now, the black and white color scheme doesn't go super well with the dark tan tiling, but I didn't have enough tiles of another color, so this is what I've got to work with. Overall, I'm really happy with the bakery, but I think I'm going to be coming back to this in a future video. Alright, now I'm going to make a few more side builds and another figure, and then we'll be done with the set. First, let's make a little well. Now, this design is largely inspired by the one that Kubrick used in one of his MOCs. Mine is slightly modified based on what he showed in his video. I've also created a small garden bed of pumpkins and a crate of vegetables for the farmer. The bakery also has a small table with some baked goodies to entice any customers into the bakery. I'm also going to throw in some pigs and a cow for the farmer. And then I'm also going to add in a peasant woman that came from an Old Kingdom set. She has a bucket of water for the well and a nice dark brown ponytail hairpiece. And this is the set. Is it exactly what I set out to create? No, not exactly. But I'm super happy with how it turned out in the end. I'm sure in the future I'll revisit the bakery and improve and probably scale it up a good bit. I'm so glad I was able to keep the modularity and kind of playability that LEGO playsets have, and I hope you all enjoyed that as well. As for what I have next, I've got another mock video in the works, and a Black Falcon battle pack that I think you all will love. Thank you for watching.